we're getting to the point where the batteries make sense financially.
Generally speaking, broad brushstrokes, BYD is going to be better at the moment if you've got a three-phase home.
The Powerwall 3 just wins on price now. I mean, you're getting a relatively large battery at quite a competitive price.
Win for Fronius BYD. Okay, Yorick, there's a big change in the industry at the moment. Powerwall 3 has come along.
Powerwall 3 has dropped, yes.
I thought it would be interesting to sit down and have a little bit of a sort of debate, I guess, or point out the pros and cons between BYD and Tesla.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm going to make it unfair for myself. You're going to be Team Tesla,
yep.
Powerwall 3, and I'm going to be Team BYD.
No, it sounds like a plan. Oh, look, I own 2 Tesla Powerwall 2s at home, so I'm already a Powerwall owner myself. And look, I think a really good point to make now is we're getting to the point where the batteries make sense financially. We're getting paid minimal amounts to feed it to the grid, usually only a few cents a kilowatt hour. And we're often paying a lot more now at night, especially over dinner time, than we used to only a couple of years ago. Yeah,
exactly. So it is starting to make a lot more economic sense, definitely, to get a battery.
Yep.
And the other thing is that battery prices have come down, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, the first thing I just want to point out that is kind of ironic with the Powerwall 3, as they are calling it, is that it's not a three-phase, it doesn't have a three-phase inverter on it, so it's not really a three-phase solution. So with the BYD and the Fronius, it's one of the best solutions easily, just technically, for a three-phase home, is that if you have lose power in a blackout, it can back up your whole three-phase household.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you, Mark. I mean, on three-phase applications, the Powerwall 3 is limited. It is still doable, but essentially you're limited to backup on one phase, and unless you have 3 Tesla Powerwall 3s, you need to have them limited to 5 kilowatts per Powerwall. So you're paying an awful lot of money for what is a relatively limited application for three-phase.
So there are some niche applications that a Powerwall will work well on a three-phase home.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, broad brushstrokes, BYD is going to be better at the moment if you've got a three-phase home.
Yeah, that is correct. I
won 1 point.
Yes, definitely. Look, for three-phase Tesla, the BYD definitely wins at the stage. But I think on single-phase, there's a really good point to make. Well, because you've got both the inverter for the solar as well as the battery as a single unit, the Powerwall 3 just wins on price now. I mean, you're getting a relatively large battery at quite a competitive price.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, right? And because that has changed everything with Powerwall 3, the price just really came down. But BYD and Fronius have sort of come back and dropped their price to basically match it. So you can get a BYD and Fronius setup, 13 kilowatts, for roughly the same price.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, otherwise they're just not competitive as an option.
Yeah, so it has really made it. Tesla have just forced the market to make batteries.
Yeah, and competition is what we need. This is the whole reason we want more batteries in the industry.
Yeah, sure. Another thing that I think is really good for the BYD, that the BYD has an advantage over Tesla, is in Energex and in probably many different areas around Australia, network areas, quite often we can be, if you put a 10 kilowatt inverter on a single phase house, well, not quite often, occasionally the customer will have to be on dynamic export. So export limiting means you might only be able to export 5 kilowatts back to the grid. Dynamic export means sometimes they'll ramp that down to 1.5 kilowatts that you can send back to the grid, or 10 kilowatts. BYD currently has that solution sorted out, right?
Yeah, so look, we do have an option with the Catch and some, third-party dynamic controls.
With BYD.
BYD, yeah. Look, it is unfortunate at this stage that it's not an option with the Tesla, and so to be compliant, we have to limit the batteries to a 1.5 kilowatt export, and that's also an import, so charging up off the grid as well. So yes, look, for dynamic applications, I think the BYD wins this one as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, next topic, let's talk about charging. What do you reckon?
I think the Tesla's better.
Tesla's better. Why?
Well, DC-coupled, high charge discharge rates for the size battery, discharge rates in particular.
So you can discharge at how much?
Up to 10 kilowatts.
Up to 10 kilowatts.
Yeah.
That is really a game changer, I think. It's going to make backup a whole lot easier.
Correct. Yeah. It's definitely for full house backup. That fast discharge rate is a big plus.
Yeah. So basically, at one time, if you're in a blackout and you want to discharge a battery or send it back to a virtual power plant to your retailer, you can really quickly discharge that battery. Yeah. Discharge a whole battery in a bit over an hour, theoretically.
Yeah, correct. I mean, obviously the BYDs have a few little tricks up their sleeve when it comes to charge and discharging.
Yeah. So while Tesla is way faster at discharging, BYD can be, depending on the system you get, can be faster at charging.
Yeah, so definitely with the larger battery stacks, the BYDs can do charge a bit quicker directly, which can be good if you've got scattered clouds where you might have a period where you're producing a lot, but then maybe that doesn't last all day.
Look, so with Tesla Powerwall 3, it's pretty simple. You've got a 10 kilowatt discharge,
correct,
and a 5 kilowatt charge. They want to gently charge it, but then you can put the accelerator down and discharge it as fast as you like, basically.
Yep.
With a BYD, it's a whole lot more complicated. And I've put this guide together, and we'll whack it up on the screen. It depends which battery you've got and which inverter combination you have as to how fast you can charge it and discharge it.
Correct.
But if you get the right package, it's gonna charge faster.
And this is where having a in-depth consultation with somebody like myself to go through and discuss what loads you have and see what your needs are. That's a big part of your experience with MC Electrical.
Okay, let's move on to the next point. What's another advantage of Tesla?
Instant backup. So, look, I've had one blackout since I've had my batteries. I barely saw the lights flicker. It is that quick. It is really quite impressive what the Teslas will do when it comes to backing up the house.
Yeah, and I always think that's I've always defended BYD on this. I've always thought it's a funny perk. It's like, oh, wow, my lights didn't flicker. Who cares? Your computer still crashed probably, right?
Yeah.
But with BYD and Fronius setup, they turn off. They check that everything's safe.
It's a fail-safe.
That there's no tree hasn't fallen through your house or something like that. Power lines aren't down. It does all the testing, and then it starts back up again. So that might take 20 or 30 seconds or something like that. Do you know what I think? If you're at home and that happens, you're going, oh no, I'm in a blackout. I better go and turn the oven off. I might even turn off the hot water system off so I don't flatten my battery. Yeah,
look, it gives you a time to basically turn off your high load items. And that is true. Like, I'm very much reliant on getting a notification on my app, and I'm definitely not looking at my phone all the time. And if I didn't notice it, then, I might have drained my batteries accidentally very quickly. But I think there is a very good point to make. The Tesla app is fantastic. It is incredibly user-friendly. You can do controlling of, you can put your feed-in tariffs in, your buying rates in. It'll automatically charge and discharge the battery to save you the most amount of money. The other thing, too, is I can set, very easily say, okay, well, I'm expecting a storm to come. Maybe I'll reserve a bit more power just in case that we do get a blackout. And it also has this feature called Storm Watch, which I think is very, very useful.
Fronius has that now, by the way. Yeah.
About time. It's taken a little while.
In the last update, and so if you've bought a Fronius BYD, one of the gripes about it is that you don't have a storm mode button. You still don't have a storm mode button, but you can connect into it and, be a little bit techie, direct connect to it, and then change your depth of discharge. So let's say a storm's coming, you're going, it's going to be a stormy weekend. I'll up my depth of discharge to 50%. So I don't have a blackout with only 10% left of my battery.
Yeah.
So win for Fronius, BYD.
I wouldn't say a win for Fronius. I think that was a long time coming. But look, there's a lot more to these systems. Another thing I think is worth talking about is, let's say, if you're the type of person who has an electric car, or you have a battery, you're probably also going to have an electric car as well. And one of the things I really like about the Tesla, it's a little bit like Apple. If you've got the Tesla card, you've got the Tesla battery, you've got the Tesla EV charger, it's all really sleek.
It is. But this is a point that you gave me, actually, and I'm going to steal it off you.
Steal it off.
It's a really good one for Fronius and BYD. Is if you have a Fronius inverter, a Fronius Watt Pilot, and a BYD battery, you can... Like, let's say it gets to midnight at your place and you go, okay, I want to charge my car because it's on cheap power, but I don't want to discharge my battery because I want to keep that for the morning when the power prices get higher on time of use charges. We've got a really good way of doing that with inside the Watt Pilot app.
Yeah.
That we can have a real good control over what's going where, what power's going where.
Yeah, I think definitely with the Watt Pilot and the BYD battery combo, the fact that you can set priorities between charging the car, charging the battery is a real plus. You get this feature, obviously, with the Tesla as well, but you have to have a Tesla car, which not everybody does and not everybody wants.
Yeah, Tesla car, Tesla EV charger, Tesla battery.
Yeah.
And then you can get all those features. Yeah.
If you've got the Tesla battery and the Tesla car, boy, it is a really nice integrated system.
Yeah.
Now, I think on that topic, let's go downstairs and have a look at the batteries up close, because I think it'll be interesting to compare how they look and also how big they are.
Okay, you want to pull out the looks card. Okay, fair enough. Let's go. Okay, Yorick, we're down in the showroom now, and this is my BYD. We've had this for years running here. We've installed plenty of BYDs, really reliable solution. Now you can see that there's like 4 bricks here. Each one of these is 2.75 kilowatt hours roughly, right?
Correct, yeah.
So those 4 bricks is about 11 kilowatt hours of storage. But if I wanted to go more, because I found out I undersized it or something, we can always go back, take that top brick off, slide another 1, 2, 3 or 4 in there, and we can go up to 20 kilowatt hours of
22 kilowatt hours of storage.
Kilowatt hours. Yeah, really nice unit. I love that it's versatile and stackable and stuff like that. Pairs with the Fronius Gen 24 inverter, so the battery charger is actually built into the Fronius inverter. And the neat thing about this is if you don't want to get a battery now, we'll get a Fronius Gen 24 now, I would say. You don't pay for the battery charger until you unlock it with software and you get yourself a battery. So it's a really good retrofit situation, as in, buy your solar now and buy your battery in a couple of years if you want to.
Yeah, right? No, definitely.
So this is made in Shenzhen, by the way, which is just over the border of Hong Kong in China. Tell us about the Tesla.
So we've got the American-made, made in Nevada, the Gig Factory, the Tesla Powerwall 3. So this is the newest kid on the block. Look, I think the first thing that's really impressive about it is the looks. It is so energy dense. Compared to the 11 kilowatt hours worth of BYD, this is 13.5. So basically what would be the equivalent of about here with a BYD battery. It also has your solar inverter built into it, so you don't need to have the Fronius as well. So if you're doing solar and battery all from the get-go, it's an absolute no-brainer, especially if you've got single phase to get the Powerwall 3.
So isn't that insane? The inverter's up here, so it's taken part of the footprint up, and they've still managed to fit in such a small, compact unit.
Correct. So it is an amazingly dense battery for its size. And the other thing too is, look, it's got a really nice glass finish on it. It's an aesthetic thing to have in your garage or on the back of the wall. It's going to add a lot of value to your property. The other part we have is the gateway too. So this is essentially the part of the system that breaks you off grid when you have a blackout. So this is what lets you do that instantaneous backup and run off grid for an extended period of time if needed.
Yeah, and Fronius has that too. We put all those parts as a separate part inside your switchboard. Tesla have chosen to do it this way, which is a really neat way. Now let's talk about EV chargers.
Yeah, I'll go grab the Tesla
and I'll just grab the Watt Pilot. So this is the Watt Pilot Go. It's the Fronius's EV charger. You bring your own cable with it, so then that way you chuck your cable in the back of the car and you can use it at IKEA or something like that. Really nice unit, and as we were talking before, it really integrates well if you've got a Fronius Gen 24 and a BYD. That ability to say, I don't want to charge my car from the battery at night time, I want to charge it from the grid because I'm getting cheap power and all of that.
Yeah. Now, if you have a Tesla car, obviously, then I recommend the Tesla wall connector. This is a beautiful charger if you compare them side by side.
I've got to admit, that one wins.
Yeah, and it's got a little place to hang your cable, which I always like too.
Yeah.
But look, you do get a lot of those features, but unfortunately that's only the case if you have a Tesla car, so Model 3 or Model Y. So look, I think it's really, the Tesla's a fantastic product if you're in that ecosystem, so Tesla, but also the BYD is a very competent solution as well.
Yeah, great, especially if you're driving whatever other Kia, BYD, whatever car you want.
Yeah, whatever you have, that's a much more universal solution, especially when you wanted to do charge on solar.
Yeah, okay, now tell me about floods.
That's a very interesting topic. So one of the really cool features about the Powerwall 3, especially for Brisbane, where occasionally we do get some flooding, is you can be knee-deep in water, so 60 centimetres up on that battery, and you won't void the warranty. So especially if you're in a little bit more of a flood-prone area, we can mount it high on the wall, so it's not a ground-mounted battery.
Yorick, I went down to the launch of the Tesla Powerwall 3 in Sydney, and they had this Tesla sitting in a fish tank to prove that it can run, in a fish tank. We're not going to set up yours in a fish tank, but
No. Look, it's an interesting demonstration, but I think that is definitely a big plus with the Tesla, being that it's such a well-sealed unit that it's very weather resilient, especially for outdoors.
Anyway, thanks for coming in, Yorick. If you're interested in either of these battery options or solar, come in, have a chat to me in the showroom here, or Yorick will come to your place.
Yep, no worries.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Mark. See ya.